The NFL is an apex predator, and right now what it's doing is it's eating other people's food. Christmas used to be the NBA's food. Now it's, since 2020, it's the NFL's food. NBA fans who love their product, they swear up and down that they're the biggest game in the world. You know, it's a global game, but we want Christmas, and so we'll have Christmas. You can talk all that tough talk until we just come and take your food off your plate. And that's what's happened in the NBA with Christmas. And that's what's happening now with college football. The NCAA last year is like, we got this shiny new playoff, 12 teams. In the first round, they're going to play one game on Friday night, and they're going to play 3 games on Saturday. The coast should be clear because the NFL plays on Sunday. Wrong. Oh, you got a shiny little playoff? It'd be a shame if somebody walked over and tipped it over and played professional football on top of it. Welcome to the Greenlight Podcast presented by BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code Greenlight, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code Greenlight. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. If that bet loses, you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just make sure you use bonus code Greenlight when you sign up. All right, so as promised, we are doing the NFC today. We had the big schedule release. We're going to talk about the NFL schedule at large. We're going to talk about some of the holiday games and the way that the NFL is expanding into enemy territory, but mostly we're going to talk about the NFC. And if you're a fan of NFC teams, we will go over your schedule today. We will go over AFC teams on Monday.
And a quick mention, we've got a poll question for you all. Make sure to hit it in the comments. We want to know who had the best schedule release video. You saw them all on Thursday. Let us know which one was your favorite. We're going to talk about a couple at the end, namely the Colts and the Chargers, and what happened there.
I had to turn off the Saints video relatively quickly. I was like, what are we doing here?
I didn't watch it, but I heard that it was a dud.
Try it.
Yep.
Try it.
Wait, that was Kellen Moore, right?
Yeah, Kellen was like...
Clicked right out of it.
I clicked out pretty quick. So
clicked right out of it. Yep.
Yeah. It's a tough watch. All right. Well, this isn't going to be a tough watch if you want to know about the schedule. Without further ado, let's talk about one of the biggest media entities in sports media. It's emerging out of Philadelphia. Nolan, you know about the exciting mics? You've heard about this?
I actually have. I was thinking MIKES when you said it, but I know about the exciting MICs.
Listen, it's Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship. It is the first installment is 56 minutes long. They cover a lot of ground, but they cover it deceptively fast, and they cover topics like best Philly cheesesteak and could the Eagles beat up a gorilla immediately. These guys, I mean, we have come so fucking far, fellas. Chet Hanks was right. It's white boy summer. It's just a year late. These guys are pushing the limits of what's possible being a Caucasian back-end player in the NFL, which wasn't even a thing before these. I mean, there were the Jason Sehorns of the world, but I don't know if Jason Sehorn could do this.
No, I don't think Jason. I don't think Sehorn could do it. I mean, like you said, it's one thing just to be a thing, to be a white D-back, but to have the brand, to be able to go ahead and launch a pod.
Yeah.
It's another level.
Get the bag, fellas. Get the bag. Other non-football news that caught my attention this week before getting to the schedule. Worst seat, Nico from the Mavericks, Nico and the boys, because I'm telling you, even if he pulls this thing off, like, it'll be shrouded in conspiratorial shit. Forever. Like, there's no way anybody believes, and you know me, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, but I'll bite. There's no way I believe that, I didn't believe that people were like, hey, the commissioner told him to send Luka to LA. I didn't believe it until now. I feel so stupid. I feel so naive. And speaking of exciting whites, Cooper Flagg is the lottery ball. He's the lottery ball. The Mavs had, what was the chance, Reed? It's like 1%.
It was like one and change to win
One
the
and
lottery
change.
and get the number one pick.
Listen, and if this was happening in a vacuum, that'd be one thing. But like the Frozen Letter, which I watched 15, 20 times last night on YouTube, trying to see if young David Stern knew which letter it was. It's hard for me to tell. I don't know if there's enough evidence there, but it certainly opens the door to me believing that, like, hey, the French market's big enough to send Big Wemby to San Antonio. Like, just the NBA is a sketchy league. In 2000, what year was this? It was 2002. I was a wee lad. I was 17, and I used to root for the underdogs in the NBA playoffs when the Knicks weren't in it. And they were often the underdogs throughout my childhood. This was the Big Peacock era. This was the Round Ball Rock era. This is max nostalgia. I remember where I was watching the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers play. Game 6, Kings have control of the series. 27 foul shots that the Lakers take in the fourth quarter alone. They come back and win that game. They win the series in 7. Just absolute bullshit. Highway robbery. We talked about this with Chris Webber, when he came on the podcast. They cost Vlade Divac a chance at a ring. Just, they should be ashamed of themselves. The NBA is a sketchy league. It's a sketchy league, fellas. Not like the NFL.
Well, and the whole referee issue with Donaghy, betting,
yeah,
all that stuff, that doesn't happen.
League.
It doesn't happen in other leagues.
It's a sketchy league. All right, you don't hear about Carl Cheffers making bets.
Right.
Yeah, the refs are perfect in the NFL.
The refs are perfect. It's just a sketcy league, man. Wouldn't want to cover it. I'd hate to be Ryan Russillo covering a sham of a product, just a bunch of people pulling puppet strings. And Ryan's got to talk about it. Not me. I'm talking about the NFL, the league that will eat your food. When I was a big 273-pound man, I would come home from a long day's work in St. Louis, and my lovely wife would have a succulent meal on the table for me. And when I'd finish my food, I would just find myself looking around the table, eyeing her plate. If there was anybody over for dinner, I'm looking at their plate too. It's just like it's a primal instinct of the biggest animal at the table. And the NFL to me is approaching that stage. The more you eat, the hungrier you are. I'm just telling you, the more you do of one thing, the more you want more of that one thing. Just like the example I just gave you. Like, when I eat dinner now and I'm done, I'm like, I'm full. I'm 255. I don't need to keep eating. I don't need to eye up my wife's food. I don't need to steal chicken nuggets from my kid's plate. I'm not the predator that I used to be. The NFL is an apex predator. And right now what it's doing is it's eating other people's food. And, we talk about, hey, Christmas, we talk about the NBA. Christmas used to be the NBA's food. Now it's, since 2020, it's the NFL's food. And, NBA fans who love their product, and it's a great product, even though it's a sketchy league, they swear up and down that they're the biggest game in the world. It's a global game. They're globalizing at a rate much faster than the NFL. Therefore, it's probably a more sustainable product or whatever. But we want Christmas, and so we'll have Christmas. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can talk all that tough talk until we just come and take your food off your plate. And that's what's happened in the NBA with Christmas. And that's what's happening now with college football. College football is getting a little bit ambitious. Oh, you want 12 teams in the playoffs. Oh, you want professional athletes that now we have to deal with. These guys are rich as fuck already. We can't control them. We're going to take your food. That's what's going on right now in the NFL. December 20th. The NCAA last year is like, we got this shiny new big-ass playoff, 12 teams. In the first round, they're going to play one game on Friday night, and they're going to play 3 games on Saturday. And it should be the coast should be clear because the NFL plays on Sunday. Wrong. Oh, you got a shiny little playoff? It'd be a shame if somebody walked over and tipped it over and played professional football on top of it. That's what's happening in the NFL. We just eat your food. We eat your food. And there's some people that say college football is just a better game. It's purer. Now it's not pure. It's more high quality. Never has been. It's the parity. No, it's not. Every year in college football, the same damn teams win. Find me a one-score game in the first round of a college football playoff. You know, the NFL does what it wants. And I'm not endorsing it. I'm not sitting here cheering it on. I'm just kind of observing the absolute free will of the biggest league in American sports just walking around punking people. And they're doing it to college football. It's kind of like when you see a shark eat another shark. You're like, holy shit, that was a big shark that I just reeled in. It's been chewed in half. That's college football. College football is the bull shark that you just hauled up on deck that has a fucking 7-foot hole in it from a great white shark. That's what's happening right now. Apex predators. Okay, the NFL has taken over December 20th. They're going to have 2 games that directly at some point conflict with college football's shiningest offering. And frankly, I could give a fuck less because college football, y'all's first round games are trash. You could probably find me a counterexample, but it wouldn't take you long because there's only been 1 or 2 in the history of the playoff. And I'm losing count how long it's been around now. I think it's been around like 14 years, the playoff.
I think it's 10th anniversary. I think 2015 was the first year.
Well, it's certainly not flying by, huh? I just said it was 14. Okay, so anyways, the NFL's in fuck you mode. That's Saturday. That's college football day. No, it's not. It's a pro football day now. Pro football is played pretty much every day. We're getting closer to my degenerate dream of having a game to get some action on every day of the week in the fall. Some people say that'd be too much football. I say I can watch it all in that case. You know what I'm saying, Noel? In real time.
Speak for yourself, whoever says that.
Speak for yourself. I want Tuesday night football.
No question.
What are some other things the NFL could take over? You know? What are some other things that American society holds dear that we could just walk over and tip over with a flick of a finger? You know what I mean? St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, I was going to say the spring.
We need to do a spring game, NFL spring game, opening day. And speaking of baseball, fuck baseball. Rob Manfred said, once an individual has passed away, the purposes of Rule 21 have been served. Obviously, a person no longer with us, dead, cannot represent a threat to the integrity of baseball. So they basically just waited till Pete Rose was dead, and they said, hey, he's dead now. He can't hurt us. We're going to let him in. You know what's fucked up about that thing? I'm just another sidebar here as we get into the schedule. And I'm not endorsing Pete Rose, the person. Google is out there, okay? But Pete Rose, the baseball player, was incredible. And I know gambling's wrong if you're a professional athlete. Gambling in your sport is dead wrong. He paid a price, and he lied about it for a long time, and he had a lifetime ban, you know? And I totally get that whole thing. But times change, and he never bet against his own team. Now, I understand if you're betting on your team, you're going to do things as a manager or a player that you wouldn't otherwise, and it might compromise the integrity of the game and that the game isn't going to be played how it would be played in a vacuum. But if anything, he was sliding harder into third. You know what I mean? That's the way I think about his gambling career. And so, listen, I just think the thing that's fucked up about it is Pete Rose parading around the late years of his life in a white fitted hat, signing autographs that were worth probably a fraction of what they'd be worth if he was in the Hall of Fame. And now the MLB gets to capitalize on him. To me, that's what it is. I'm not saying that's the sole reason. I think a lot of it is caving to Donald Trump because Manfred met with him in April and Trump did one of those dyslexic all caps tweets about Pete Rose. He did a dyslexic Pete Rose tweet where it was all one sentence with no fucking periods. It's just one big run-on sentence. And Manfred caved. That's what I think happened. I think it's kind of like the draft in DC. The state got involved. But, follow the money, right? Like, they got a gift shop in Cooperstown. They want to be able to enjoy the fruits of Pete Rose's labor. All those wins, all those hits. You don't want him to go to waste. Hey, the guy's dead, right? That's what they said. So, anyways, greatest sports league in the world, National Football League. The NFL said, hey, fuck you, basketball. This is PFT commenter on X.com. This was a brilliant tweet. PFT commenter said, can't believe the NBA scheduled a playoff game during the NFL schedule release, which is hilarious. We own you, other leagues. We just own you, dude. We own you. Listen, this is pretty telling. I got this from Yahoo. The good news for college football playoffs, last year wasn't a wash despite the competition from the NFL. Last year's Ravens, Steelers, and Texans-Chiefs matchups won the ratings battle on December 21st with an average of 15.4 plus million viewers each. The 4 college football playoff games, 1 on Friday and 3 on Saturday, averaged 10.6 million average viewers in a strong showing in the first year of the format. Don't get used to it. But the 2 games that went head-to-head with the NFL brought up the rear. Ratings for Clemson, Texas, 8.6 million, and Penn State, SMU, 6.4 million, paled in comparison to the Friday night Notre Dame, Indiana, 13.4 million. That's Notre Dame. And Saturday night, Ohio State, Tennessee. Big spot game, 2 big programs. I get that. That didn't go up against the NFL. This is from Yahoo Sports. So basically what you can glean from that is like, you're just unlucky if you're trying to air a game when the NFL is trying to air a game. You just got to get out of the way. It's your only hope, So the NFL's on some manifest destiny shit. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, Christmas used to be for the NBA, but NFL snatched it up too. Talk about the holidays. We talk about like, some of they're doing a Black Friday game again. Wasn't the Black Friday game last year was the Chiefs and the Raiders, and we had a snap exchange issue from Farva.
From Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell. That was a bloodbath. I bet the Chiefs I was chasing. I'm always chasing on holidays. This is why the NFL wants you to watch holiday football, because the more standalone games there are, I'm just telling you. And yeah, I have a gambling deal. I'm going to give you some free game. They didn't tell me this. I was born at night, not last night. They want you to bet standalone games. The great thing about a Sunday slate is you can pick out the winners. You can pick out games that you feel good about, great about, not so great about, and you're not inclined to bet the entire board unless you're a degenerate, right? You only bet the games that are really talking to you, that you've researched the most, that you have a hunch on, what have you. When it's a standalone game, and we all know this, a lot of times you lose your ass because you wake up and you're like, damn, there's just one thing I can bet tonight, and you do it. And I think that's why the NFL wants so many standalone games, not just the ratings, not just owning the calendar. Okay, there's one holiday they've always owned. That's Thanksgiving. Okay, Thanksgiving this year, I think the matchups are pretty good, fellas. Packers, Lions. I mean, that's going to be a good one. Chiefs at Cowboys, and then Bengals at Ravens, okay? And you might say, hey, well, they nailed it with this thing. It could be even better. And you know what I'm going to say? I say it every year. You got to play Thanksgiving football outside. Consider for a moment the Lions visiting the Packers. Lambeau Field. Fall colors. People in their yards enjoying Wisconsin cuisine. Out of commercial. Shirtless fat guys in the stands, cheeseheads, the whole thing. Then you get the 425. It's getting dark in Kansas City. One of the most beautiful crowdscapes in the entire NFL. Vibrant colors, Cowboys, Chiefs, smoke billowing off the smokers in the parking lot. I mean, that's beautiful, right? Dak can't hear himself think. Instead, we're going to get like you're going to come out of commercial. They're going to show you an alleyway in Detroit, and there's going to be a bunch of steam blowing out of a building. That's literally how they come out of commercial in the Detroit game and then they go into the stadium and you don't leave for 3 hours. You might see a guy getting mugged, something like that. But you get the idea. And then at 425, you're going to get like the stadium that has the personality of like an operating room. It has the aura of a hospital, in my opinion. That is Jerry's World. And it's just, to me, when you're eating and you're drinking and you're inside with a bunch of your in-laws, a bunch of your family, whatever it is, you've been inside all day, you want to feel like you're outside. I prefer an outside game on Thanksgiving. Now, at least we have Cincy and Baltimore outside. But playing football inside is disrespectful to Pilgrims, it's disrespectful to Native Americans, and it's disrespectful to every kid who's ever played a Turkey Bowl game outside in the backyard. You don't go down to the local gym, the rec center, to play the game inside. You play it outside. And one day, when the NFL has completely eradicated outdoor football, or the climate's too bad to actually play outside, you're going to miss outdoor football. And you're going to think about all those stupid fucking decisions by the NFL to put the games inside on Thanksgiving. Rant over, dude. I'm over indoor Thanksgiving. What is it going to take? Disgusting. Let's get to week one. Week one games. Talk to me about the big ones. We got the Ravens revenge game, Ravens-Bills, right? What does it go, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Or do you get a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So Thursday night, I think, is the Brazil. No, Thursday night's the Eagles.
Yep.
Eagles opener, naturally. World champs, raising the banner. Dallas going to Philly. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to early seeing who George Pickens is going to have a little friendly rivalry with. It might be one of the podcasters.
Hey, I'd like to propose something for that. I was wondering if we could mic up the security guards in the tunnels at the link just to capture the obscenities being screamed at George Pickens from the Philly faithful. I think there's going to be some good banter there.
I'd like to mic the players up, dude. You remember last year, was it Sidney Brown who threw a guy into the tunnel?
Yeah.
Speaking of the tunnel at the link, like things happen in that tunnel, and in this game, a lot of things happen, and so that's how it kicks off with a bang, right? And I think the Eagles, we talked to Lane about this last night. It is really hard to defend a title, and this is going to be one of those situations. We'll get to their schedule in a little bit, like where they're going to have to buckle up, and coming out the gate against the Dallas team is going to have a lot of energy, right? Like a lot of hope, new coach, couple additions in free agency, what have you. But they're going to want a piece of the defending champs, right? And so this is one of those games where, and I talked to Lane about it last night, like the energy leading up to the game is crazy, and you got to almost like conserve your energy. It feels very weird, right? Like you're out of your routine. You were in the hotel. You've been out for a couple weeks. It's a normal game week, but it's kind of not. Like you work a little longer on the opener than the other weeks, and by the time it's time to play, you're like, let's fucking go. And honestly, I don't even remember seeing the banner raise. I think we were in the locker room for that whole thing. We played Atlanta in 2018, my last year, and that's what I got to see. And I remember watching New England in 2017 raise the banner on TV when they played, I forget who, maybe the Chiefs or something like that. And I was like low-key jealous because I was there and I played, and I was like, damn, I don't get to play in this game. It's going to be so emotional. The emotions run high, but really it's the wait. It's just a long wait. It feels like a mini playoff game with all the ceremonial stuff. Like, so that's going to be a good one. And then we're going to have a Friday night game as well. Is that Chiefs and Chargers in Brazil?
Correct. I wonder if Jim Harbaugh will stay in the RV down there in Sao Paulo.
You can get the RV to Sao Paulo. If you'll remember, Madden was talking to me about possibly driving an RV down to Central America one year. And hey, if that offer still stands, I have 3 kids now, and I could really use the free time. So get back with your boy on that. I'll drive an RV down to Sao Paulo. I'll drive it straight through. Anyways, bunch of international games this year. You talk about the future of the NFL, like that's where it's headed. whether you like it or not. I'm pretty glad I don't have to take all these long plane rides, okay? You know, the international games are fun. Like, it's one of those things that you say, like, I'm glad I did it. You know, it was cool to do once, but it's not something I want to do on the reg. And if you're the Vikings, we'll get to them in a minute, like, they're going to be spending some time out of the country this year. You've got that, and then Saturday night you have the Bills and the Ravens. Ravens revenge spot, yeah?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Okay, so Saturday night we got football?
Not NFL.
Pussies. Unbelievable they would leave that day on the calendar. I mean, what's going on there? Some kind of holiday that we haven't conquered yet? Anyways, yeah, so that's week 1 for you. I mean, out the gate, listen, we're going to talk about the Giants in a second. Giants and Washington, you get a division game. You got a couple division tilts early, like you have Tampa and Atlanta, San Francisco, Seattle, New York and Washington. You got the Justin Fields Bowl, week 1, Jets and Steelers, right? And who knows, like maybe you'll see Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh uniform and it's going to be super awkward, right, for both sides. But, you know, I think it looks like a pretty fun slate. Yeah. The first week. You've got Detroit and Green Bay. We talked about that, Minnesota and Chicago. A lot of division games the first week. And one out-of-division game that I think is going to be really intriguing is going to be that Titans and Broncos game, which is perfect, a 4 p.m. window game. Probably takes side stage, relatively speaking, as people are going to be looking at Detroit and Green Bay. But I want to see how Cam Ward plays in week 1 against what is a very disruptive and tough defense to play against.
Yep.
So, and then the hanger game, the game that might as well be played in a hanger, is going to be Arizona at New Orleans. And that's a 1 p.m. That's just going to be buried in other relevant football.
One of Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and Jay Kaner against Kyler Murray. Going to be electric.
That's right. They're in a thruple. Who knows? All right, so week 1, you know, we can get into that in a little bit more. Some of the teams I just mentioned there, but that should be pretty fun off the top. You know, the NFL coming out with the primetime games right off the bat. You know, what's always fun to me is, like, in the grind of a season, as a media member, a fan, whatever it is, a gambler, whoever you are, a player, it's always fun to look back at the end of the season and, you know, that first game of the season feels like a million years ago. And it always feels like strangely irrelevant. Things change so much. Your concept of who teams are changed so much. I mean, you know, Baltimore at that point in the season was so sloppy last year. Remember how sloppy they were in that game? And they damn near charged back and beat the Chiefs. And you know, like the year before that, I think it was Detroit edging one out at Arrowhead. We've had some really good opening games to start seasons out the past few years. And they always feel like they're a million years ago by the time it's December and January. And so it's just a reminder that, like, week 1, a lot of shit happens that doesn't make a lot of sense, you know? Like week 1, 2024, no notes, just looking this over.
I mean, off the top of my head, remember the Eagles' defense? Like, everybody's kind of sweating.
Eagles' defense was terrible.
Right. By the end of the season, it's the best unit in the league.
Guys were falling down. You had that turf down in Sao Paulo, which, again, like, they're going to want to get that under control. I know that, like, people got upset. A lot of people were like, it is good grass. You know, stop talking bad about Brazil. I'm not saying Brazil doesn't have good grass. What I'm saying is they were playing on like a soccer pitch. It's just not designed for football, our football. You know, you had Pittsburgh, Atlanta, that 18-10 game last year. Arizona gave Buffalo a run for their money. Buffalo found themselves down at home, if you remember. Chicago, Tennessee, barely remember that game, but it was one of those things that for much of the game, Caleb Williams was abhorrent and found a way to come back and win that game, much because of the mistakes on the other side of the football. It was like a who wanted to win it less kind of situation. New England, Cincinnati, they ran dive solid at Cincinnati 40 times in that game, I felt like.
Yeah, they did.
And just tested their chin strap.
And that was the game that kept Cincy out of the playoffs, Like they had won that one, they would have been over Denver.
Yep, no question. Houston, Indy, I think is one that. Okay, I remember that game. I believe I remember that game. Is that the game that Anthony Richardson threw the ball 70 yards in the air?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Miami, Jacksonville. This is funny. Okay, so like Jacksonville had a huge lead. Miami threw a couple deep balls. Testing my memory here, New Orleans, Carolina, that was a massacre. Remember how good we thought New Orleans was last year?
Mm-hmm. First two, it was like record, the first 2 weeks of the season, record offensive output.
No question. And then you had Seattle, Denver, Dallas, Cleveland. Oh my God, Dallas, Cleveland. We were convinced for a little bit that Dallas was really good.
Yeah.
Like they looked really crisp in that opener. And at that point, we had overestimated Cleveland in a big way. But that was a thorough ass kicking out of the gate. And boy, is that not what Dallas ended up looking like. And obviously Tampa trounced Washington. Washington grew a lot from that game last year, culminating in actually beating them in a playoff game.
Yep.
So, a lot can change. San Francisco, New York, you could kind of tell early on, like immediately that the Jets were going to have a lot of problems.
That was the Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason game, I think.
That's right.
I didn't know, except I found out on Friday. That's when I knew.
Now you know, bro.
That's right.
But yeah, so things change. I mean, it's fun to go back a year ago and be like, hey, that wasn't even a year ago, okay? But it feels like 30 years ago, dude. There's just a bunch that's happened since that. And so getting into the NFC, starting with the Eagles, the Super Bowl champions, the defending champs, like tough draws, man. I think one of the reasons it's such a tough schedule is they get the AFC West and the NFC North. Two really tough divisions. They finished with a Bills sandwich. Commies are the bread. And the division could really come down in the last 3 weeks. That's what we kind of talk about is when you see a cluster of division games to end the season. It's one of those things where at the end of the season, you look at two teams that are presumed to be at the top of their division, like the thing could come down to the end. I think the NFL likes setting it up that way. One of my favorite sayings in the NFL is like, everything we want to do is in front of us. Like, it's said to a lot of teams who are 500 around the bye or struggling, like, and Lord knows, I was on a couple of those teams where late into the season, you're trying to make a case for things being possible. And I think if the Commanders can have the type of season that they had last year or take a step forward, anything but take a step backwards, I think they're going to be within shouting distance of being in the race, and it's going to come down to the end of the season. If you remember last year, Washington and Philly played way far apart. They played one game early in the season, and these two games played out completely differently, each of them. If you remember the one that Washington won, Jalen got hurt early in the game on a Luvu, decleater, and it was on a slide, I think. And that changed the entire game because of the quarterback run element. And, Jaden Daniels just went off. He threw some picks, but went off and was able to win that game. Those two teams were totally different at those individual moments in the season. And especially when you're playing a young team like Washington with a young quarterback, that is, and a new coach in year one or year two, we are in the beginning of a building phase for that team. So things can change a lot from one meeting to the next, right? Like this program in Washington just started. So it'll be interesting to see in year two what they have up their sleeve. It's kind of nice to get an entire year of tape on Jaden Daniels and see him at the end of the season if you're Philly. Mm-hmm. I don't think Philly's afraid of anybody, but that guy's a little spooky, man. I mean, he can play, dude. I mean, he can downright create, and he listen. We say it every year with rookie quarterbacks. There's plenty of people saying, "Hey, rookie wall." Well, Jaden didn't hit it, right? Like, and then it's year two, second year slump. CJ hit it. I can explain a lot of why CJ hit that slump. Like, not all of it was in his control, and that's what Jaden's going to be trying to avoid. And I think Washington was wise to go out and pick up Laramie Tunsil, make moves like that. Knowing that, like, hey, we just because he looked good doesn't mean we can take building around him lightly. We have to continue to build. We're building this program. It is now year 2, and they're going to get to see each other when it matters most. So I look forward to that part of the season. But again, tough draws. Like, look at the beginning of their season: Dallas at Kansas City. We're talking about the Eagles here. LA at Tampa Bay. Denver at the Giants. At Minnesota, and then Giants at home. So you have that Viking sandwich with the Giants being the bread.
Yeah, and that first Giants matchup on Thursday night, I think that'll sneak up coming off a physical matchup with Denver.
Denver's a very physical game. You think about a short week, like that's going to be tough to get back on the horse for any team. But the Giants are a physical team. And then you look at the Cowboys, man. I think as you pull that schedule up, it's kind of the tale of two halves, man.
Yeah. Like early in the season, you'll see the Jets, you'll see the Panthers, you'll see the Cardinals at different points. So like you're saying, I think there's some kind of forgiving spots there early on compared to kind of the meat grinder the Eagles are running into in September.
Yeah, look. I mean, the second half of the season for them after the bye, you're going to have Eagles, you're going to have Chiefs. You're going to have Detroit on a Thursday. Lucky for them, they get a nice little rest, a mini bye after that Detroit game. We know how physical those games can be. Then you got Minnesota and LA. Now, that's a lot of home games in there. That's the saving grace. But then you've got Washington and New York on the road to finish the season. So tough schedule for Dallas.
Back-to-back Thursday games there, the Chiefs and then the Lions. So an interesting.
That's a little bit of a blessing. If you're going to play Detroit, you want that break before. And honestly, you don't see a lot of back-to-back Thursdays, do you?
No. And one interesting thing for the Eagles, they have 10 days rest before they play the Chiefs, 10 days before they play the Vikings, 15 for the Packers, 10 for the Chargers, 8 for the Bills.
That's really good. That's the hidden these schedule makers, man. Most times when we were putting these notes together, there was a give and take. There were some schedules that just are more brutal than others, but some schedules you're like, oh, I can see where this might balance out. I'll point that out when we get there. The Commanders, listen, we talked about Jaden Daniels a minute ago. They got 8 standalone games, like 5 in prime time. The league wants to feature Jaden. You're going to get him in Madrid, right, playing the Dolphins. So if you're a Commanders fan, how quickly has your life changed? Seriously. I mean, like, you were in the penthouse and you were in the outhouse, although you still live in an outhouse at stadium. Giants, listen, this is a good theory that the league is pushing. If I'm putting my conspiracy hat on, the league's pushing a little bit of a QB controversy in New York early with this brutal schedule that they have out of the gate. Okay? I mean, like, Nolan, I love this from you in the notes. Week 6 to 8 versus Philadelphia, at Denver, and then at Philly. I would have called it a Denver sandwich, Philly being the bread, but you call it a knuckle sandwich. I like that.
That's right.
That's a tough one.
That's what it's going to feel like.
That's what it's going to feel like, no question. I mean, those are some physical games back to back to back. And then 3 of the last 4 on the road for the Giants, at the Rams versus Pittsburgh, and at Minnesota on Christmas, and then at Chicago to finish the season. This is going to be a tough year for them. Really tough year for them. Okay, we talked about being out of the gate, like having a hard time out of the gate. Okay, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, and Eagles, all in the first 6 weeks of the season. And then Broncos, Eagles, we mentioned that. Niners, Bears, Packers, Lions. I mean,
brutal.
Damn, dude. So, I think we're going to see Jackson Dart at some point. And it's a weird thing. Like, if you're Brian Dable, Noel, and you're trying to pick a way forward this season at quarterback, and obviously, like, sometimes we overanalyze this stuff and we say, what would you do hypothetically? And the coaches are just trying to win, right? They don't see this schedule and say, oh, we can't win the first 8 weeks of the season or what have you. They want to see who can play, and they want to win. if you're Brian Dable, are you taking the risk with your job security? And I suppose he knows more than us, and not putting his best foot forward so that this kid doesn't get shell shocked early.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We went through this last year with Drake May, talking about the fact that he might get killed. I'm not saying Jackson Dart's going to get killed, but these are tough games, right? Mm-hmm. Would you play him out the gate? How would you roll this out if you were going about it in a responsible way?
Yeah, I think I certainly wouldn't throw him out there right away. I think you just look at the history of like the best quarterbacks in the game, and one of the common threads being those guys being able to redshirt, if not for the full season, at least a certain amount of time. But I think you at least want to, if you can get through that first half of the season without throwing them out there, I think that would be a benefit. But the other consideration there is like, what's the messaging they're getting from ownership in terms of, does this buy that regime taking Dart another whole year, or is it, well, we got to see whether we actually have something here. So maybe there's pressure.
I don't know if it's a rhetorical question. I don't want to downplay the possibility that Russell Wilson is your best quarterback or something.
Right.
There is a chance that Russ looks competent, right? Like,
yep.
And listen, in an offense with Malik Neighbors, Tracy, like they're improving. Okay, I like some of the guys up front, that some of the work that they've done up front. Like, okay, I'm not saying they're world beaters, but what I am saying is like maybe a Russell Wilson led Giants team is not the long-term answer, but it might be the best answer the first 2 months of the season. I'll take an experienced Russ or an experienced Jameis playing some of the teams they're going to play out the gate and just buying this kid more time. That might be the best thing for the kid and for Dable's job security, right? Like you might have a better shot to steal a couple wins with a Russell Wilson-led offense and buy your quarterback some time. So interesting. I don't want to spend too long on the NFC East as people start calling us homers, but the NFC North, man, is really interesting. Like the Bears have a week 5 bye. Okay. Like that's not a great bye, depending on how you think about it. It might be one of those things where for a new coach, you want to get back in the foxhole for a break sooner than you would otherwise, right? Like, you might need to swim to the edge of the pool and take 30 seconds, right? Like it's okay. Week 5 could be a good thing for the Bears, but that is early, and they have a ton of good interior rushers testing that shiny new O-line very early, right? We'll see what they got. Vikings got Hargrave, Allen. Lions have Aleem. They've got Reeder. Cowboys, Digizua, and the Raiders with Wilkins. So I think those matchups are going to be interesting. And then 3 out of the last 4 games are at home. So it's kind of a mix and match here. Not a great bye, but you finish the season at home, which is a good thing, largely. And then the Vikings, man. The Vikings have a really interesting schedule. Look, they like the international back-to-back and then 2 late-season West Coast trips. It's kind of a lot when you look at it, right? I think they're playing in Dublin. And then on the way back, they're playing where, in London or something?
Yeah.
So, honestly,
Dublin
guys,
week 4 and then week 5 in London.
I wouldn't mind going to Dublin for that game.
Love to.
I wouldn't mind doing that at all.
Try to split the G?
Oh, fuck yeah.
What does that mean?
Guinness. If you get poured the Guinness in a glass, you try to take the first
now we gotta
sip.
go.
Yeah.
We gotta go. I just drink the Guinness. I don't split the G. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I think this would be an activity you would enjoy, Chris.
Okay.
The competitive element of
trying
to split the G.
All right, that sounds good. Well, let's go to Dublin and split the G. I'd love to see a game in Dublin. That's the one that I would get on a plane to go there, I think. And the 2 West Coast trips late in the season, we talk about that. Out of their bye week 6, it goes Philly, Chargers, Detroit, Baltimore. That's tough. Detroit and Green Bay at home to close. Again, that's one of these divisions again where we think probably it'll be up for grabs late because of the quality of teams in the division, but that's a nice little give and take for this team. I'm not sure if I'd make the trade, but having Detroit and Green Bay at home to close the season is a nice thing. I'm not saying that it evens out the fact that they have to play 2 international games, but that is nice. Here's the Lions schedule here. You're going to Lambeau, start things out. You're going to Baltimore. You're going to Cincinnati. You're going to Kansas City. And then you get your bye week, and you still have to travel to Washington and Philly. LA, I don't think they have a good road game.
No.
The entire season.
I mean, 3 of the last 4 on the road is brutal.
Goodness gracious, dude. The hits keep coming for Detroit, man.
It's a tough schedule.
That is tough. That is really tough. I mean, that's tough. But they're a tough group of men, led by a tough man. They'll figure it out. Road warriors. It's the most fun place to win in the NFL is on the road, in my opinion. And they're going to have some big opportunities to win some big games on the road, but it is not going to be easy. I'm looking at 2 of their games and wondering what the total is going to be. The Cincinnati game, and I don't remember Cincinnati and Detroit playing in recent years.
They did play in 2021. That was a 34-11 win for the Bengals. That was Dan Campbell's first year coaching.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Joe went 19-29, 271, 3 tutties, and a pick.
Listen, it's going to be a lot more evenly matched this time around. So the NFC North, we talked about all those teams.
I love the Packers Commies matchup. Thursday Night Football week 2. That'll be a fun one. Typically the Thursday nighters can be duds, but that'll be a good game early on.
No question. Packers Commies, a lot of fun. I'm looking at they got a lot of consecutive road games. But yeah, what do you see when you see the Packers?
I mean, I think this is similar to like the Steelers' schedule last year of like they need to rack up some wins in the first half of the season because you look at week 10 onward, Eagles, Ravens, Lions, Broncos, Vikings twice, Bears twice.
Yep.
That's a tough slate. So they're going to want to get out to a hot start, especially with what that division looks like as far as, playoff aspirations go.
So moving to the NFC West, I think it's a good year to be good in the NFC West. If you can find a way to be good in the NFC West, it's a good year to rack up wins. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be trash in the NFC West at all. We haven't gotten there, but what I am saying is there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't know what San Francisco is going to look like. They didn't look like themselves last year, right? They've had to make some tough decisions. Seattle's got a new quarterback. Arizona, as exciting as they were at times last year and as well coached as they were, I don't think the quarterback's figured it out yet.
Right.
So, looking at ULA or Seattle, those are the teams off the top of my head that if I had to pick the division today, it's kind of evened out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's just automatically San Francisco anymore. I mean, I picked against San Francisco last year. And, so I wasn't surprised to see that they got a little bit worn out. Like maybe they come back this year a little bit stronger. But in the NFC West, it is a good time to be good for a couple reasons, not just because I don't see a clear lead dog, but also the out-of-conference opponents. Is it the AFC South and the NFC South?
Yep.
For the entire NFC West. So this is a good chance if you believe that, hey, those are some of the softer divisions to rack up some wins. Like if one of these teams is serious about their business, they could host playoff games. I'm not just talking about if there's one clear-cut winner of this division, they'll have a chance to have home field advantage.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of their schedule, I believe. Niners, 3 home games in the first 9 weeks. That's not easy. And a week 14 bye for a team with an injury history. We talk about them struggling through last year, kind of limping to the finish line a lot of these years. Week 14 is a long time to wait for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a terrible schedule from an opponent standpoint, but the things we just talked about are a little bit of a counterbalance to that. And then the Cardinals, for instance, they don't see a playoff team until week 7. So, just some things I noticed looking at the NFC West. I don't know if you saw anything else.
If the 49ers, classically the last couple seasons, it's been, kind of coming down to the end of the season for them to make a playoff push. Those last few games, the last 7, you've got Panthers, Browns, bye, Titans, or last 7 weeks, Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks, with the Seahawks one kind of being the one that scares you probably in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But, there, if you need to make up some ground, you've got the schedule to do it.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to write the Niners off. I'm just saying I'll believe it when I see it, just them staying healthy, looking more like themselves. They're going to have a chance to do it. The schedule isn't brutal, but the things we just talked about definitely play a part. And then we've got the NFC South. In the NFC South, I see like some opportunities for some young quarterbacks, namely Penix and Young. Like when you played Penix last year, if you're the Falcons, when you played him, I talked about this late last year. I said, you're going to have to rely on him heavily next year. Like, you want some tape on your guy and not just preseason tape. You want the live bullets to fly a little bit where you see what this kid's made of. And boy, did we. Mm-hmm. I thought, like, in the spots that we saw him late in the season, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's got to be valuable for him considering the beginning of the season. Okay? Like, it is not going to be easy out the gate for this team. They're going to get Tampa in division. They're going to get Minnesota on Sunday Night Football, week 2. That's a tough place to play.
Yep.
And then, you get Carolina's divisional game. That's important. Washington at home. You get Buffalo at home, and then San Francisco. There's not a lot of easy games early in the season. Right. And I'm glad for their sake that Penix got some experience, because out the gate, you talk about some of these coordinators. You get McDermott first half of the season. You get Dan Quinn. You get Todd Bowles the first week of the season. Like, there are going to be some tests playing Brian Flores on the road week 2. So Penix, get it going, because they want Penix. They want to see Penix. 5 primetime games. They're sending this guy to Germany week 10. The NFL believes in Michael Penix. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame him. I think this could be fun. And Bryce Young is not going to see a playoff team from 2024 until week 8.
Yep.
So good for him. That's great. Shuck or Rattler or whoever it's going to be is going to see Saleh, McDermott, McDonald early as well. They're going to have road trips to Seattle and Buffalo. There's a chance that entering the 2026 sweepstakes is a foregone conclusion for them. So you've got the Bucs, who, I think if there's one thing I noticed about them is they're not going to play in the cold this year. 4 of the last 6 games are at home, and it's Carolina and Miami on the road. So, take that for what you will. I just think it's going to be very interesting to see for a team that seemed to get better with Michael Penix playing quarterback and that owned the matchup with Tampa Bay last year. Like, is that a matchup that they're going to continue to own, and will they own it with a tighter grip because they have a better quarterback than they did last year? Right? Like, those matchups, I think, the division could hinge on those matchups. The Bucs and the Falcons playing each other. Now, Carolina could be a dark horse, certainly. I don't see New Orleans sneaking up. But those are going to be some impactful games, and one of them is played right off the bat. And I believe they customarily do play each other early in the season. First thing I want to say is we had a schedule release disaster in the AFC. The Colts, the classic, let's try to have some fun with it situation for them. And they get steamrolled by the Chargers. It would be like me showing up to school with and there was a project, like an individual project or report you had to write, and I write mine on some book and I half-ass it, and then the smartest kid in the fucking school comes in and writes a report on the same book. And I think part of what happened is, for people who aren't online, like every team now releases the schedule with some like interesting video, except for most of the teams in the league seem to kind of mail it in. But a couple of them gotten really good at it, and the Chargers, while they aren't winning a lot of games on the field in the last like 5 to 10 years, and I don't mean that as a shot, like their social media team's been better than the football team lately.
Dominant.
Now that could change. I believe it's going to change with Harbaugh. I thought it was a good start last year, but their social media team has been like the fucking cream of the crop. And so they came out this year and they did a Minecraft video. Well, so did the Indianapolis Colts. And I wonder, did the Colts know that the smartest kid in the class was writing a report on the same thing they were? And so when they show up to class and they're like, here's our cool Minecraft video, which actually wasn't that bad, it just doesn't compare to the production value or the time that Microsoft allotted the Chargers to spend on this video. Like
the problem with the Colts, it's like a combo of AI and Microsoft. It's like AI characters in a Microsoft universe, and like they have the Tyreek thing. They take it down almost immediately or after an hour or so, saying it exceeded their rights with Microsoft and included an insensitive clip involving Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. We sincerely apologize to Microsoft and Tyreek.
Listen.
And Tyreek said he was like I didn't see. I thought it was funny. Like it was a geeky thing. And then the Texans roasted him on social media. They posted a screenshot of the Colts unavailable deleted tweet and said error 404 code.
Listen, I mean, they gave it the old college try very quickly. I mean, you want to see an entire department go up in a mushroom cloud like in real time? Like that's what happened here. There's people at work who are like, hey, where's Bob from social? Haven't seen him.
Bro,
have you seen anybody from the social department? No, they're all gone because not only did they piss off a league sponsor in Microsoft, they also 11 seconds in the video made Tyreek Hill a dolphin being apprehended by a Coast Guard guy. I mean, it's like it was the most absurd thing, as you just mentioned, Reed. And I don't know, man. Like just a masterclass in coming to work the next day and all your shit being packed up. I think what really happened, guys, honestly, is in the end, I think it was Patrick Mahomes Sr. fighting disgraced pitcher John Rocker in a boxing ring with a frog called Mahomes Jr. in the middle. That might have been the issue. I think Irsay was like, let's not poke the bear. Let's not fuck with. And I know a lot of people are like, I love it. We hate Mahomes. We're so over it. We have fatigue. They were doing a whole fucking documentary on the Chiefs, and they wanted them to win, that last Super Bowl, and they didn't, and yada, yada, and Taylor Swift. And blah, blah, blah. But you can't make Patrick Mahomes a little frog and make fun of his dad if you customarily aren't in the class of the Chiefs. Like, they're in your conference. Mm-hmm. If you fuck around and get good, you got to see that guy in the playoffs. Remember you made him a little frog on your schedule release video?
And that's like you're jumping into a fight where you don't have a dog in a horse in the race.
Well, you're not the horse.
Yeah, right. You're not. All three of those, Patrick Mahomes Sr., Patrick Mahomes Jr., and John Rocker, could all turn on you for putting them in the video and be like, yo, what the fuck? Then you have three battles.
No question.
You're fighting.
We are living in a simulation. That was one of those moments where I was like, yeah, we're living in a simulation. When they were like, here's a video of the greatest quarterback on earth's dad and John Rocker, the guy who was a giant racist on the subway, fighting outside a bar. I was like, what the fuck is going on? How did these two find each other? Well, I guess it was a baseball beef, right?
It was a baseball beef, and then I think Barstool picked it up and sensationalized it a little bit. But
anyways, Rocker looks big, but he doesn't seem like a great guy. So anyways, the schedule release thing's wild. I actually didn't think it was that bad. I thought their video was funny. It just was that but they got a little mean-spirited with theirs. Yeah. I think that was the thing. Like they were a little bit too mean-spirited, where the Chargers one was better because They kind of had fun with it. Like Josh Allen definitely went in the theater to watch Sinners and came out, and Sauce Gardner was being supportive, right? Because Sauce Gardner famously said, I don't want to go watch Josh Allen's wife, Haley Steinfeld, in that movie because that's my dog, Josh Allen. And so he walks out of the little theater, and little uniformed Sauce Gardner, Sauce Gardner, walks him down the street. And then, like, my favorite one in this video is the Dan Marino thing. It's the Dolphins game schedule release portion of it where they're zooming in on a yacht called Dan Marina, and then Mike McDaniel dives into the water. little Minecraft Mike McDaniel. And the sideline reporter goes, thanks, Mike. And Mike Tirico in the background goes, go get him, Mike, hustle in there. And the little Minecraft Mike McDaniel swims into the locker room. That's my favorite one. I thought that was great. And then my favorite Easter egg was the banners in the Minnesota week where they go into Minnesota's house and it says, they've got a banner that says best record among wildcard teams hanging over the fire. And another one, the Minnesota Wild get a fucking giant stray. They go 5-time quarterfinal runner-up is the banner for the Minnesota Wild. And I don't know if y'all caught this Easter egg, but this was maybe my favorite one, was in the Steelers one where they're going through like the purgatory mine, right, where there's a fork in the road and the little mine car occupied by I don't know who. Who's in the mine car? Do y'all know?
I'll look at it real fast.
Undetermined.
Yeah.
But anyways, 2 guys are in mine cars, and maybe I'm just not getting the whole thing. But they approach a break in the rail system, and on one side is purgatory, and one side's contention, and they both end up just going off the edge into a giant basin of hot lava. And they're both Steelers players. The funny part is across the little canyon, watching, perched up high atop a rock, is Aaron Rodgers. And he's just peering down at these 2 guys falling into the lava. What I noticed upon second watch was that he's holding a knife.
Yeah,
he's in a Jets uniform, so the Steelers didn't sign him. So he's mad.
And some people are saying he hadn't signed with anyone yet because he wanted to see how many primetime games the teams that he might sign with get, which is what, with the Jets, when he got injured, they had all those primetime games, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the undetermined players for the Steelers, I thought you were going to say for the Easter egg. I mean, it is not much of an Easter egg. It's a pretty central part of the Steelers part. But when it says the track ends in 9 and 8.
Yeah.
And that's that's the difference between the Chargers video and the Colts video.
Colts video is a little more heavy-handed.
Heavy-handed. This one's kind of like cheeky. Okay, I'm making a joke. You guys are always 9 and 8. We're making Justin Herbert's rounding up all the Broncos and calling them donkeys. Like that stuff's fun. And then
there's the little thing that falls down top right of screen and it goes, "You've just acquired 53 donkeys."
Yeah, yeah. And then the second game when he puts them in the pen, you zoom out and it's 2 L's. Like the pens are 2 L's. Like that's good. That's creative.
Yeah, it's creative.
The Colts one, when you're just arresting people.
The Colts one was a bunch of people in a room. They were like, what should we do for the Dolphins? Did you see that body cam footage of Tyreek Hill getting slammed to the concrete? Let's make him a dolphin and have the Coast Guard roll up on him. And everybody in the room was like, yeah, good idea.
Or how about the Titans one when they had all the Bachelorettes puking in the limo?
That's my favorite one.
And then they murdered Will Levis.
That's my favorite one, though. That's my favorite one.
It's like, how many 100 times did they have to review it only to like hit post and be
That's
like,
what I mean.
Fuck.
Right.
Right away.
You can kind of tell how an organization is run by these fucking videos, because if you're going to release a schedule release video that's going to be like way more impactful than any interview that your rookie minicamp people do, don't you think that somebody's going to want to get eyes on it?
Yeah.
Or that like in the room full of 5 people, they've identified the red flags. That's why I think it had more to do with the Chargers just eating their lunch.
It almost seemed like, like there was a member of the Chargers social media team that also knew a member of the Colts social media team. And they saw each other and they were like, and the Colts guy was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we happen to be doing Minecraft. Then, in the Colts next meeting, hey, what about a Minecraft video?
Yeah.
And then they post it and they're like, God damn it, Billy. We knew your buddies on the Chargers thing. Why did you do that? Now we have to delete it.
It's stupid. They're all losing their jobs anyways.
Yep.
Because they pissed off Microsoft. All right. So, anyways, I did think the bachelorette party thing with Will Levis getting run over was hilarious. They basically go into this bus, and it's a bunch of little Minecraft women, and they all got those big old schnoz noses, and they're like, "Blah, blah, blah," and one of them just like projectile vomits in the back of the bus, and then they run over Will Levis. Will Levis caught strays in both of the aforementioned schedule release videos. That's as far as I'm going in the AFC. I want to leave something on the bone for Monday. So I had to talk about that schedule release factor of it, but AFC in its entirety, we're going to hit that Monday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. And if you're a fan of an AFC team, we will get to you Monday and lay out your schedule.
And quick thank you for all you listeners. We hit 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. Big appreciative of you listeners and viewers. Thank you very much. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe.
And if you subscribe, watch the videos every once in a while.